Welcome, everyone, to That Kind of Nerds podcast, a weekly show where we break down what's going on in the nerdy world. I am CJ Millen, joined, of course, by Brian Thornton and Josh Burns. Anyway, we got a lot of things to talk about today, and first off, I had to start with an apology. I'm sorry for the technical difficulties for last week that we did our rebroadcast. My microphone died, but we're all back and we're up and running, so let's get this show on the road, as Brian would like me to say.
I don't like you to say it. You just find a way to say it.
You say
every
it.
time.
He and I mock you for saying it, but you say it every episode.
Do you know
every episode?
Do you know what else I say every episode? Let's talk about the wonderful freaking people at Loot Crate, okay? Because what they want to do is give you Nerd Christmas every single month. You have until the 19th of every month to subscribe to this month's box. After that, it's gone forever. You can't get this box ever again. So we want you to be part of the nerdy life that is Loot Crate, because they give you official licensed gear for nerds, geeks, and gamers all alike, so that way you can have something awesome every single month. So how can you get this? Super simple. Go to thatkindofnerd.com/loot. That's LOOT. And you actually have an offer there to save you some money off of the Loot Crate. So again, thatkindofnerd.com/loot. And if I remember, Brian and Josh are so in love with it that there was actually a recall on one item. And Josh, what was your response to the fact that you may have to give up this wonderful product?
Well, I read the recall, and then Brian Roman, who listens to the show, actually posted it on our Facebook page. My response was, they can have it back when they pry it from my cold, dead, possibly burned hands.
So this stuff is amazing. You get $45 worth of value, actually even more, to be honest, in every crate for a low, low price. So again, go to thatkindofnerd.com/loot, LOOT. Get yourself some money off of this. Get yourself the Loot Crate. So let's just jump right into this, because there's a lot of really cool things coming. But I want to talk a little bit about some comic books, some nerdy news, some cape talk. I want to talk about The Killing Joke. The animated motion picture is actually getting a theatrical release for one day only. Am I correct? Or
one
limited?
day.
One day only.
This is pretty awesome. So
a theater, maybe, possibly, probably not near you.
We've talked about this before, but Brian and Josh, why is this movie so important that we would put this in a movie theater?
Before Brian does what Brian does better than anyone I know and gets everyone super excited about it, I'm going to say my piece in really just a few words. It's, I believe, the quintessential Batman versus the quintessential Joker story. Like, they are never more themselves than in this story. Brian.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm going to try and get people really excited for this. And thank you so much for the nice compliment. Yeah, this story is the absolute quintessential, and it's really a Joker story, but it's captures the depravity and the insanity of this guy, and just the sheer lack of motivation behind anything he does. It is just a one book that kind of encapsulates everything that you wanted to see out of this depraved villain that Batman has to fight. And some really hard to watch things happen in this movie, which is why the movie has a rated R rating. And it's so awesome to see that they're doing it justice. They have got as far as I'm concerned, I don't care who disagrees with me, the voices of Batman and Joker are the only voices that can ever be Batman and Joker until the day I die. Kevin Conroy and Mark Hamill as the Joker and Batman, to do this story. That's how important this story is. This isn't one of those things where we're like, oh, let's try William Baldwin out because that was a horrible idea. You gotta have Kevin Conroy.
Tell us how you really feel.
Listen, that movie was fine, but William Baldwin is not my Batman. When I read a Batman comic book,
you hear Mark Hamill.
I hear Mark Hamill. I hear Kevin Conroy, and it is not just me. I am 29 years old. I grew up on that cartoon when it aired in 1992. There are many people my age and maybe older that feel the same exact way as me. This movie is, as long as it does this source material justice, is going to be amazing. It is probably be better or just as good as any live action adaptation of Batman
Okay.
Okay,
It's gonna be amazing, but it's not gonna be the Dark Knight. I mean, it's not gonna be the Dark Knight.
Listen, I'm just saying it's going to be up there. I'm going to listen.
Yes.
When you rank the best Batman movies of all time, there is obviously The Dark Knight. There is usually the 1989 Batman is on there, even though I know you don't like it, Josh. But
It's worth a watch. Yeah.
But the other movie that comes up there is Batman Mask of the Phantasm, which is an animated feature, which is a solid movie. And I think this is going to be right up there with the rest of them as well.
This movie is, I mean, as you can tell, right? If you are a comic book reader, and even if you're not, this movie is insanely popular already. It's slated to come out on Blu-ray and digital on August 2nd of 2016. But for, just like we said, one day only, July 25th, mark your calendars. You can see it in theaters nationwide.
Yes.
Check to see if your theater's participating. I'm sure we'll find theaters and put them on our website or our Facebook feed.
Point of order, I do want to point out that the only other animated superhero movie to ever be released in the theaters is Mask of the Phantasm. And they will be premiering the movie at San Diego Comic-Con, which you guys might know somebody who might be there to try and watch it. Just saying.
Man.
Yeah.
I don't know. There might be somebody in the audience there who might text you how good it is.
And then when I ask, hey, Brian, could you possibly write something about that? No.
Brian's going to be like, I actually don't have anything to write with. I spent all of my fortune going to see this movie.
That's pretty much it. I've lost my use of my limbs to get in line for this movie. That's how intense.
I can imagine it's, hey, welcome to San Diego Comic-Con. There's the line for the Killing Joke. Go.
I don't know. I got to look into it. I don't know where they're going to premiere it, what hall it'll be in, but I guarantee you I will probably have to be in line at 3 or 4 a.m. just to see it. And I'm okay with that. This is worth it.
You load up your backpack with 5-hour energy and you just go.
5-hour energy and Fritos. That's what I need. I just sit in line and I'm good.
Couple bottles of water in there and you're all set.
You gotta stay hydrated. I mean, I'll bring in like a little portable dock to charge my phone.
Jeff has one of those camel packs. I don't know if
Jeff
you guys
does
knew
have
that.
a camel pack.
Yes.
I don't know. Yep.
I don't know if anybody brought it up 25 times on a 4-hour drive, but he's got a camel pack.
I should borrow Jeff's camel pack because I'm definitely going to need it. So this is extremely exciting, and I've been talking a long time, so I'm going to go back to
So let's continue some nerdy talk along with comic books, and let's talk about this because this is I'm actually a little on the fence about if I believe this article, but a university in the UK, whose name I will not butcher, has made a scientific list as to who the greatest superheroes ever are, according to science. This is a very... I don't know how I feel about this. Let me read the top 10, if you don't mind. According to this university, it is number 1. Actually, let's go from 10 up. Number 10, Silver Surfer. Number 9 is Iron Man. Number 8, The Lizard. Number 7 is Batman. Number 6 is Spider-Man. 5, The Flash. 4, Thor. 3, Mystique. 2, Wolverine. And number 1, Superman.
Now, before I start hearing all the nerd rage because Batman is so much better than Superman, blah blah blah.
I disagree, but I'm okay.
This is not a popularity contest. This list is not a who's more powerful than the other, who can beat the other person. I looked through this article. They are citing things like the laws of thermodynamics and entropy and like all these like scientific theories, applying them to the superhero mythology and saying this is why this person is better than the other. And in that case, Superman wins because Superman can absorb freaking yellow radiation and pretty much do anything with it. So,
but the Flash isn't number 2 then? I thought the Flash could do like fucking anything he wants.
So here's the thing. The Flash is all contingent on a mythical force of nature called the Speed Force, which does not exist in science. So I don't know how you actually quantify the Speed Force into any of the laws of physics or anything like that. In that case,
but Thor gets above him. We got all the
I don't know how they're applying when you're talking about.
Well, I'm judging. I'm acting like you made the list.
If you're talking about the laws of physics and stuff, and how strong do you need to be to lift Mjolnir? It's
very strong,
feasible.
By the way. You just have to be strong enough to lift that hammer.
It's very feasible that Thor could be around number 5, just based on the fact that he can control. He has control over lightning and just that in general can fry anybody. Like, and again, I don't think this is a list of this person can beat this person. I think this is just a ranking of, based on scientific laws, this is who's better.
So what do you feel about this list? Do you feel that this...
I feel it's very scientific.
And you don't think anyone needs to move? Like,
there's a lot of science in this.
Well,
science,
can you science the lizard?
The problem
why does
is
he
that
get to be superhero?
and here's the problem: the Wolverine and Mystique made the list because of their rapid regenerative capabilities or abilities or whatever.
Right.
And I'm not sure it's enough. Like, if you're gonna put those two up there, then basically the Flash would have to be right there as well. He just doesn't have a skeleton line with adamantium. But Spider-Man heals very quickly and does all kinds of other shit. I don't get it. And I look, I've clicked a bunch of links. This whole thing is just a black hole of clickbait, but I don't see like a full report, like and I don't mean like a web article, but an actual report I can read that reads like a report.
Yeah, I haven't seen that either, which is why I don't have enough information to say, oh, this is wrong.
The article is very quick to defend Batman's listing. They say that students' calculations suggest that the most ill-equipped superhero, Batman, would struggle to survive a landing after gliding due to his velocity and movement.
I think that overall, the other issue I have is that Iron Man and Batman are on here, and there's nothing. They don't defy any laws of physics or I mean, really, they're just human beings with one has, well, they both have a lot of money, but one has amazing technology. So I'm not sold on them being on this list at all. If it's about science, there has to be some sort of popular something involved, some metric of popularity. Well, Mystique would never make this list.
I agree. I'm with you. Again, I thought it was interesting. I thought it was worth mentioning.
How is the Lizard a superhero? Is there something I'm missing? That he becomes superhero and not villain?
The Lizard he's misunderstood. He's just a doctor trying to fix things. He just wants to turn the entire world into lizards sometimes.
Right, that makes you bad.
It makes you bad. The world would be better off if we were all lizards who could regenerate limbs on a command. Like, come on. When I lose my limbs trying to get into Killing Joke, I wish I were a lizard. I could grow them back.
So that's your defense as to why you get superhero status and not villain?
I don't have a defense. I'm just making crap up as I go. That's really how I live my life.
Well, listen, it's an interesting list. I want to put it in the show notes, and I would love for you guys to help us find some evidence to kind of back this up. And I mean, to this article's credit, they do link the source material, which, Josh, you could probably find a report somewhere, but then it's written in fancy English, and
that's what I want. Fancy English.
Fancy English.
It's the old.
I want the
English.
Kings. I want the King's English. I want the King's
English. Yeah.
Speak the Kings.
And thou sayest the Superman. Thou shalt not count to 5.
3 shall be the number
that thou shalt count. And the number of the counting shall be 3.
Anyway, so I want to put the list there. I'm curious what you guys think when it comes to science judging superheroes, which I just think is hilarious. I mean, I mostly agree with this. I don't know why the Lizard is there, and I'm really bummed that the Flash should be higher. But I think, Brian, you bring up a good point. Speed Force, who knows? Alrighty. So let's talk a little bit about this. We're going to have a little more deeper coverage on E3 next week while we just absorb everything. We let some of the hype die down and kind of focus on really what we kind of saw. But, Brian, there's a GIF going around that kind of explains E3 a little bit with Joseph Gordon-Levitt. Can you just explain to people this GIF that I'm talking about? Because I know you know what I'm talking about.
How have I not seen this GIF?
So, the GIF is from a movie called Premium Rush, starring Joseph Gordon.
I love Premium Rush, except I loved it better when it starred Kevin Bacon and was called Quicksilver.
So, in this scene of Premium Rush, Joseph Gordon-Levitt is riding down the street in his bike fashion that he does in this movie, and the GIF has him titled as Nintendo, and I guess there's like a cab like coming out from the back of the screen, coming to hit him. and that says Microsoft on it. And then this other black SUV just completely rams into it, which is supposed to be Sony. And CJ thinks it's hilarious, and it's more.
I think it's perfect.
It's much funnier when you watch it than me explaining it. But
we'll
the
have a
whole
link
point
in the
of
show
it-
notes.
The whole point of it is that E3 this year, Sony just freaking crushed it. Microsoft had their press conference, and they were like, "Hey, we got a new Xbox One S. It's smaller. You got a smaller system. No Kinect this time. Yay!"
It's more
and
than
then,
just that.
oh, hey, you can play your PC. You can play Xbox games on your PC. Isn't that wonderful? And it was a decent press conference. And then Sony came along and said, "Yeah, we don't have any of that stupid crap to talk about. Here's like a ton of trailers for all of these games you're going to be able to play." And a lot of them people are very excited about. Meanwhile, Nintendo, kind of skating by all the mayhem, said, "Hey, we got the new Zelda coming out," and everybody loves
Okay,
Nintendo
bye.
for it. Yeah. Nintendo was just like, "Hey, new Zelda," and everyone was like, "Oh my God." And then they just kind of disappeared into the night. So
And let me backpedal just for a second. For those of you who are playing the home game, are like, what the hell is this E3 thing that they're talking about? So every year, the major video game companies come together for a convention called the Electronic Entertainment Expo, E3, where they unveil new games, new consoles, just what's going on in the world of gaming, essentially. Not really PC based. If I kind of take that away from everybody, it's usually the consoles.
it's usually the consoles. A lot of
PC
this stuff-
gamers are just like, we've been doing this forever.
No, a lot of the content stuff, like the games, are available on PC. But I mean, you have your big three consoles there. You have your Nintendo, your Microsoft, and your Sony, and that's
So-
pretty much it.
So
needless to say, it's the nerd
Microsoft came to E3 with new hardware and cross-platform functionality, and then Sony went, "We don't have any new hardware. Here's a bunch of games, which we're going to make anyway, whether or not we have a conference. We don't have anything interesting to announce, and that can compete with less expensive and more streamlined hardware. So we're just going to make them.
I
look
really wish Jeff was
stupid."
here to defend me right
yeah,
now.
yeah, that no, I'll disagree with that.
Well, I'm just saying, not knowing,
the
right? Not
point-
knowing anymore. What's the point?
The point of E3 is primarily about the content. It's rarely about the hardware because you get a new game system every 4 or 5 years. And they are both working on slimmer versions of their systems right now and a next-gen console. So really, this year and last year was really supposed to be about content. Here are the things.
So
that you can
you're
play.
saying the same or
Games-
similar content won't be available on Xbox?
There are,
Right.
and I'm about to go over that. There are certain things on Sony that you will not be able to get on Xbox, and those are the things that people are most excited about.
And
the big thing is, I think CJ is about to mention, Sony did unveil their Sony VR, which
That's not what I was gonna
is
mention,
a
but
hardware
whatever.
piece. What was that, CJ?
no, go ahead. You're fine.
Was that not what you were going to say?
That's not what I was going to say.
Well, I don't care. Anyway, which is, I thought CJ would mention it because CJ's
Well,
all,
so here's the
all
thing.
about VR.
This is-
CJ's
this
like,
is
oh
one
my
of the-
gosh, VR is so cool.
Okay, VR is awesome, right?
No,
And-
VR's dumb.
No, it's not.
Dumb.
And okay, that's fine. I'll laugh at you in a couple of years.
It's dumb.
It's not. So VR is so expensive, so crazy. No one can really own it. You have to have $1,000 setup to do this. Sony made one that's pretty affordable. I'm not a big fan of Sony's implementation of it, but that's neither here nor there. This is going to bring VR though into the mainstream, Josh. This is what people are going to put in their homes.
And that
People are
might
gonna
be
use
the
this.
case, but
And-
what VR is right now is a big clunky thing.
And what Sony made isn't any better. However, it's a great big step in the right direction. But it's not going to make me buy a PlayStation. It's not
right
going to make me do
right
that.
now. It's 3D. It's still 3D to me.
I agree. It's the exact same equivalence. But
That's what I'm saying.
Right, and I give you that. But VR as a subject is not dumb. Just where we are right now within VR, it's a baby. It's not ready for everybody. And Sony made a great step to give it to people.
So anyway,
But the real reason that I want to talk about Sony is for probably what Brian's going to talk about right now.
let me touch on a couple of the VR games they talked about first before what CJ is about to talk about. They actually released a trailer for Batman Arkham VR, which you will be able to be the Dark Knight and the greatest detective ever via VR headset. Star Wars Battlefront, Resident Evil, and Star Trek Bridge Crew are all going to be VR games, which is some pretty solid titles, some fan favorites really, to try and get people into this. What else Sony announced, which will not be available on any other system but Sony, is the new Spider-Man game, which looks fantastic. And really, again, all these trailers, CJ, you're going to need to make them available in the show notes.
Absolutely, we will.
But things that will not be on Xbox would be the Spider-Man video game. The new God of War, which is a fan favorite, is God of War 4 released a trailer. And I'm trying to remember the name of it. Give me a second. Death Stranding, which is Hideo Kojima's newest game since his split with Konami.
And the reason why the general public will care about that is because Norman Reedus is doing all the mocap for it, and and also gamers care about it because this guy is a god in the gaming industry. He made the entire Metal Gear Solid series. He knows how to do a well-structured story and a very good game. Other than that, a lot of other content got released that'll be released on the other systems as well. I'm not going to go into too much detail unless you want me to, CJ. Well, no, like I said, we're going to have a more in-depth thing. But Josh, let me tell you really why nerds like this kind of get excited for this. Because you're right? These games were going to come out anyway. However, every single year, a major complaint people have about video game consoles is the games that come out either aren't that important, like they're really filler. I mean, a lot of the stuff that came out for Xbox One was very unimpressive. So nothing really said, man, you made the right choice going to an Xbox One. Everything kind of said, hey, you made the wrong choice. Should have gone with Sony. Their games are better. And this year, really, for the first time ever, I am contemplating buying a PlayStation for the sake of gaming. This Spider-Man game looks so good that Brian even showed me the one part in the trailer. You go through a restaurant and jump off of tables, which is something that you see in a movie here and there, but you never see in a video game. So it really comes down to this. Sony really showed gamers that we're interested in doing what you want to do with a console, which is play games with it. Over the last few years, it's been, make us your home entertainment device, let us play movies, let us stream, and it's back to gaming, and that's just good. So gaming coming up, new Zelda coming out for Nintendo. They did not make a new console, but there's one rumored to be there.
They are making the Nintendo NIX. They just didn't announce anything at this E3.
And the NIX is the code name for it, so it could be called something else.
Could be anything. It could be the Nintendo dildo. Who knows?
Could even be a boat. Could be a boat. So, listen, I don't mean to bore anybody, but hey, if you're a PlayStation owner, lucky you made the right choice. If you're an Xbox owner, you really didn't get a whole lot besides a slimmer console. So, Josh, do you care at all?
My big problem is that gaming has gotten so ridiculously difficult and intricate. And here's, I guess, what I mean. I grew up playing video games. I have excellent hand-eye coordination. I've beaten almost every game I've ever played, and I've become proficient at playing the games. And I'm not slow reaction time either. I mastered Mortal Kombat. I've won tournaments. Combinations and fast button pressing isn't a problem. I tried to play a few games just recently with Christian on the Xbox One, and the games that you have to execute 3 and 4 commands to do a simple thing where on a PlayStation 3 would take press one button, press another button, change your vary it by direction on the stick. But they've gotten ridiculously difficult to play even at a basic level just to get the hang of the game before you master it. And so I've completely bailed on gaming because every single move, even Madden, CJ, on the next-gen consoles, there are 1,000 different permutations to every single move you can make and thing you can do, and it takes all the enjoyment out of the game.
And see, some people find that to be enjoyable rather than
I get it. And if you have hours to invest in a game,
yes,
I can see how that would absolutely add to it. But I don't. I have at most on any day an hour. And in that time, I'm not ever going to master this stuff ever again. So believe it or not, the consoles I play the most are the PlayStation 3 and the Wii U because they require so little input.
And that's fine. And this is kind of and again, I think we should talk about this.
Hang on, because all I heard was that Josh's Xbox One is in fact hooked up, and you can buy Sword of the Stone.
No. It's I said recently.
Recently, how recent are we talking?
Probably 7 months. It was
That's
whenever
not
the
recent.
last
That's 7 months ago.
It was whenever the last WWE 2K game came out, and
Well, CJ knows when that was.
Shut up. I love that game.
as do I. I think it was in November. I bought it. I bought it for me and Christian to play, the 2K16 game, and neither of us, who are amazing. I mean, both of us are. CJ, you'd never stand a chance against me or my 8-year-old. You'd be screwed.
Okay.
But we both tried to play on the Xbox One, and the controls to execute the same commands were so difficult that I bailed. I was out. I'm talking about, we both tried a couple different matches. We tried to simplify it. And then Christian and I both looked at each other and kind of went, this shouldn't be this hard. And we went back to GameStop, returned that, and got it for PS3, and everybody's happy. And I'll probably do the same thing for 2K17.
And this is why Nintendo still exists, and why.
Which, by the way, download 2K17 because you get Bill Goldberg as downloadable content. Oh, play as Goldberg.
Yes.
If you pre-order the game.
Well, I mean, you can also make Goldberg, but play as him as
but you can make him, or you can have him made for you by the experts.
Yes, which is
so that everything will be right, including the entrance music and the signature and the finisher and all of the taunts. Give me Bill Goldberg right now.
So listen, we're going to talk more about this. Obviously, there's a lot of stuff we left out, and we're not trying to say this is our total E3 coverage, but just want to give you some highlights.
We need Jeff for that.
We definitely need Jeff. E3 was really dominated by Sony, and it's good to see them kind of come in there. So I want to shift.
And they're re-releasing and remaking Crash Bandicoot 1 through 3.
Bandicoot!
Just saying, that got me super excited.
Love me some Crash. I mean, I love Crash Bandicoot.
They're redoing it for the PS4 from the ground up.
Listen, Brian, awesome. If they make it 1 ounce 3D or
what's next,
360
right?
or immersive, if it's not bottom to top scrolling,
it will
nonstop action without any other camera motion, I don't want it.
No, they
remade Sonic and they fucked that up.
No, they're legitimately taking 1, 2, 3. I think they're just giving it a polish, getting the graphics updated. I don't think they're going to mess around with any of that, and then just re-release them on PS4.
You know my all-time favorite. My all-time favorite game for my iPhone is Run Roo Run because it reminds me of Crash Bandicoot.
I have to download that.
And you know what I'm hoping?
It's a side-scrolling jumpy jump game, but it just reminds me of Crash Bandicoot.
What I'm hoping is that Crash Bandicoot coming out for the PS4 means we get a Crash Bandicoot movie, like Ratchet and Clank.
Yeah, good luck with that.
Well, who knows? Here's hoping.
Can we have what's his name that played Rocket? Play Crash Bandicoot? Bradley Cooper. Crash Bandicoot.
Sure.
I called it. There it is.
So
Bradley
wait,
Cooper. And if not Bradley Cooper, then Aaron Paul.
I was just going to say, does that mean you successfully wrapped on Aaron Paul Ghost Rider?
Yeah, it's coming out. Aaron Paul Ghost Rider.
You got to distribute and everything?
Netflix.
Oh, okay, cool. All right, well, keep an eye out for Ghost Rider starring Aaron Paul. It's directed by Josh Burns. Produced by Josh Burns, too? Did you produce?
Executive producer.
Executive producer. Okay. Well,
I executive produce everything I do.
Well, we talked about this next topic in our pre-show, which you can get every Friday at 9:30. You can actually go to thatkindofnerd.com, and there's a tab there for live, so you can get more information as to when we go live for this. But I want to at least talk a little bit about this on the real show. The crazy country that is America's hat, Canada, is actually released Star Trek money that is legal tender. And I showed you guys pictures to this, and I'll have a link in the show notes. This is crazy, like, looking awesome money, but it's weird. It's a $200 coin, but it cost 1,300 Canadian dollars to buy. It's already sold out, so if you were thinking about, no, it's never happening. But what do you guys think about this? What do you think about Star Trek on the money?
I think generally when I want to light $1,000 on fire, I just go to the casino. Like I think this is batshit crazy. Like Canada was like, you know what? We don't have enough of legal tender. Like our gold is worth way too much. We need to dilute it with some $200 Star Trek coins.
The loony is too high.
The loony is gaining far too much value, and we need to remain under the proverbial radar. Okay, you know what that's all about.
I'm sorry it's so expensive. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. Hey, that leads me to did you watch the trailer for Yoga Hosers?
Yes. It looks so good.
Oh my God.
Sorry about that.
Just this that scene where just sorry about that, and then they're yelling. They're so frustrated. Sorry about that. This movie, and getting like two teenage girls to play Dante and Randall.
And that's what I took. It's like Clerks in Canada.
Could they make another one? Could they just continue forever?
They are.
Kevin Smith will keep making that. He's got no problem doing that.
I'm now like I saw this. I immediately went to Clerks, and then my brain went to, if this is that, what does the Canadian Jay and Silent Bob look like? Because now, because they have to have that balance, right? They have to have the snowball. They have to have the Scott Mosier character walking through. They have to have the old man with the not scratchy toilet paper. There's got to be a parallel.
Isn't
I need
that what
parallels.
Ralph Garman is? Could you make Ralph Garman like that?
Ralph Garman plays this like Nazi scientist who occupied Canada. It is a crazy movie.
We're gonna we posted the trailer on the website so you can see this. But the other thing that Brian and I probably know about and love to tell the world too,
I was about to talk about, but CJ cut me off.
Then go ahead, please. You are much better at that.
Anyway, I am much better at a lot of things than you. Anyway,
let's see if you're better at editing that comment out, you bastard.
Oh, sure. I'll do it. I don't need to edit it out. I said it. I think it's gold. Anyway.
34-20.
Anyway, something I wanted to reference before we talk about what CJ thinks he wants to talk about here is that trailer. It seems so much fun and just off the wall, and I love the fact that they do that little homage to Clerks at the end with Harley Quinn Smith's character just screaming, "I'm not even supposed to be here today."
Yes.
If you haven't watched Clerks,
but they work in a convenience store. They work in a
convenience store.
Yeah. The whole thing is Clerks. I can't tell you how giddy I was watching this, that because I thought initially it was going to be something else. I didn't know.
Like Tusk?
No, not that. Now, I don't think Kevin Smith has at all lost his touch. I think that I just wasn't expecting so much going back to the well, and I'm so thrilled with what I'm seeing so far that I actually hope it's not a ploy to get me to the theater to see it, that it's actually going back to the well. That's with all of Hollywood and television doing really nothing but regurgitating the same shit over and over, the same formula, the same stories, remakes, rehashes, reboots, you name it. I'm perfectly fine with a Canadian teenage girl reboot of Clerks. Bring it on. The jokes, there's going to be one of my favorite Kevin Smith jokes from, I think it might have been from An Evening with Kevin Smith, where he was talking about Tim Hortons, and he would go and he would order his double with 20 Timbits or whatever. And I'm just praying for a Tim Hortons joke somewhere in there, just to bring back more of the Kevin Smith. I miss seeing Kevin Smith movies with any regularity. This could be a huge thing.
Here's also the really cool thing, Josh, and I think this is what CJ was trying to get to. I listened to a bunch of Kevin Smith's podcasts, and he actually was talking about they're going to do like this kind of roadshow type thing, taking it on the road and premiering it in different places. They are talking about doing it in Red Bank.
Red Bank's not far.
Right.
Hour 40.
Either at the hockey rink there, or what would be really cool, and I totally want to go, they're trying to see if they can premiere the movie on the roof of the Quick Stop. So
wouldn't that be the shit?
That's not in Red Bank.
It's right outside of Red Bank. It's
it's not far.
It's like a 15-20 minute drive from there.
The Silent Stash, the comic book shop, is in Red Bank.
Yes.
And that's kind of the point.
Well, Kevin Smith called it Red Bank, so we're going off of his.
Right. Anyway.
So if I remember correctly, too, this movie is coming out for select theaters in July, but the rest of it coming out later?
September.
I'll have a link to help you know where it's going to show up in July. But this movie looks so funny. I mean, this is going to be good.
You can expect, CJ, from now until this movie premieres, that anytime you mention Canada, whether it's in relation to this movie or hockey or the loony or whatever dog shit Star Wars currency you were talking about, I'm going to bring up this movie specifically.
Sorry
because
about that.
Sorry about that. This is the only thing Canadian I want to talk about.
Star Trek. Okay? Get it straight.
That's what I said. I said Star Trek.
You said Star Wars.
You said Star
Wars. Wow, Star Wars. Did I really?
You really did. Yep.
Holy shit.
I decided not to correct him. I was going to let it slide.
No, you should. No, I need to be corrected on that. I mean, I don't personally give a shit. Star Trek means literally nothing to me before Chris Pine came along. So, I don't care. And for all you Trekkies, I'm still not going to... Oh, my favorite story, CJ, and I'm sorry to derail you completely.
I don't care. Whatever. We're good.
My favorite story from my honeymoon goes as follows. We were on like an all-inclusive type of deal, so you eat with other people.
Right.
And there's a full table. Brian, I'm talking about a full table. There's 5 couples, full table, and we're just sitting there. I've had a cocktail or two. Laura has had her share as well, and we just really don't want to talk to any of these people because we just don't give a shit, right? We've got honeymoon activities to do. So
honeymoon activities, huh?
We need with dolphins.
We need to eat. We need to refuel because there's more honeymoon activities. So we're
there was a whole lot of hope on that honeymoon.
There was not actually. There was not at that point. No.
Hashtag honeymoon activities.
But anyway, what we had is a table where somehow these 3 nerds got involved in a conversation about who the best captain was. And it was a back and forth extolling the virtues of Jean-Luc Picard and William Shatner there.
Captain
I can't even remember the name. Kirk.
Yeah.
Can't even remember the name because I don't care.
That's Chris Pine's captain. It's the same guy.
I get it. It doesn't matter. For the sake of this argument, here's how very few fucks I gave. These 3 assholes are just really super getting into it, super passionate about it. They're arguing Kirk, Picard, but Kirk. One was arguing Kirk because Kirk, and the other one that was on the Kirk wagon was arguing Kirk because Spock. And then the third guy was all Picard. And I'm sitting there eating my food. I swear to God, I'm chewing, like mid-chew, take a drink. You know, guys, I always thought Riker was better than both of those guys. And the record scratched. Everything stopped. These 3 guys looked right at me.
Bastard.
3 guys looked right at me, and I was like, yeah, both those other guys suck. And then I said, babe, are you done? She's died. She's like, yep. And we just got up and we went back to the honeymoon activities because I couldn't do anything better for that table at that moment than just drop the mic on them and walk the fuck out. And maybe somebody got divorced. Maybe they didn't. I don't know. But all I could do with that, like I saw the perfect moment to incite a riot, and I just went ahead and did it.
Some people just like to watch the world burn.
Look, I was that man at that moment. But Brian, do you have any thoughts? On that?
On the argument or on your story?
No, the story and the argument. No, not the argument.
Not the
just
argument.
My story.
That's a whole nother
Hey, wait.
podcast.
Also, did I get the name Riker? Is that right?
Right, Riker is Picard's first in command. Yeah.
No, from Next Generation, wasn't that him?
Yeah, Picard is the captain, and Riker's his first.
Yeah,
his first.
So I got it right.
Right, yeah,
I got it right.
yeah.
Okay, I got it right. I just this day I never did the research.
If you really wanted to just explode their head, just say Captain Janeway was the best. And
I don't know. I don't know who that is.
She's
so that
Voyager.
doesn't help.
No one cares about her.
But I needed to watch the world burn that day, and I watched 3 guys' minds explode in front of me, and then I got up and walked away before anybody could offer a rebuttal.
That's great. That's a great story. And,
that right there, Josh, is why you should be on the scientific list of supervillains. That right there. Josh Burns, number 1. Incite a riot just because.
That is some Lex Luthor shit going on there.
It was Josh Burns, the Joker, Lex Luthor. That's the top 3. I want to take a quick moment, and I again, another apology is due to great fan Brian Roman. He left some comments on our Facebook page a couple weeks ago, and with everything going on with the podcast, we didn't get a chance to share it. So, Brian, your voice was heard, and we definitely want to talk about your comments. So let's
most importantly, Brian, your voice was heard from me because I feel like they were both geared more towards me because they both had to do with comic books. So I think it was a few weeks ago, Brian posted about the fact that he's got about 6 months of comic book reading piling up. He wants to get through it, but his girlfriend does not want him to just read and like she doesn't get to put on any like watch any Netflix or anything like that. So he was asking us,
wait, why can't he read while she watches Netflix?
Well, the thing is, and I completely feel for him. You can't put on a show that you've never seen or that you want to watch and pay attention to it while reading the comic book. You got to be like engaged in the comic book. So he was asking for what's some good shows that I can stream kind of as background noise so that my girlfriend has something to watch, but I'm able to catch up on my reading. And I thought about this long and hard. And I actually have a couple go-to shows for this kind of scenario.
Scrubs.
Because I, too, have about 6 months of comic books left, and Scrubs is definitely one of them.
That's what I said in the comment.
Scrubs, I would say How I Met Your Mother or Futurama are probably my go-to kind of background noise. And the only reason behind that is because I've seen them so many times, I don't need to pay attention to them. I just can quote them backwards and forwards. So I usually stick to something lighter, comedy, maybe animated that I've seen a lot that I can put on in background noise, put it on, forget about it, and catch up on my reading. What do you guys think?
When go ahead, CJ, please.
Yeah, I had said put something comedy based on because it's something that you can hear in the background and chuckle at, but doesn't require you to pay attention to a plot, and a plot's not going to suck you in. So I said Scrubs, Friends, Seinfeld, those kind of shows where you can just have them on the background. They're not going to grab you immediately.
So for me, the show that I put on in the back, I swear to God, I do this.
Do you
the
say
show
Sopranos or Mad Men? I'm going to drive
the
out
show that I put on in the background is SpongeBob SquarePants. That is absolutely the show that I don't need to be watching it at all for context. I hear something, I chuckle, and I keep going. For me, it's mostly music. I understand for his purpose it wouldn't be. But when I'm trying to focus on something and I just need that background noise, if it's streaming, I generally turn to SpongeBob. I also am a fan of Fairly Odd Parents or Phineas and Ferb.
Yeah, I'm on board with those.
Good.
To your point, CJ, when I turn on Friends, Seinfeld, the like, I try to do it with Cheers for a while because I grew up with Cheers and I'm able to just sort of have that as background noise because it was my entire background noise growing up. I can do that with Cheers a bit, but shows like Seinfeld and Friends that I've watched live or binge watched, I end up watching them. Like same as Scrubs. I said Scrubs really quickly because it's an easy comedy that I think probably the girlfriend will like, and it's easy to be streamed in the background. But for me, I get super tied up in the stories of Friends and just the craziness of Seinfeld. Because there's stuff on Seinfeld, if you're not watching, you're gonna miss it. And I don't want to miss it. SpongeBob, Phineas and Ferb, I don't really have that problem.
Where's Perry?
Where is Perry?
Where is Perry?
Agent P.
The other Facebook post that he posted actually had to do with something we talked about 2 weeks ago when we were talking about the Comixology quote unquote unlimited that subscription that you can go into. And Brian pointed out something very good. I should have said it, and I wanted to give him some credit because if you're looking for something to read and you may not want to spend $7 a month on this type of subscription, your local library actually has been getting a growing collection of
That's a great point. That's a great point. Yep.
And in fact, I read Kevin Smith's run on Green Arrow because I was able to get it from my local library. So that was a great point, and I wanted to bring it up.
I want to take that just one step further. In the library, sort of borrowing theme, the bigger libraries have a better selection, obviously, right? So think about this from a person who travels professionally. I want you to consider when you go to a place, when you visit a city, when you do whatever you do, there's always a moment in the day where you can take a break and do something that'll enhance your own life. And in this case, you can visit libraries anywhere you are at any point during the week. Big city, big library, go and get a membership because that will allow you to borrow from that library. Get involved. When you go someplace, stop at a library. If you are a reader, this is an invaluable resource. And before I read that post from Brian Roman, I had completely forgotten about it because I'm just not like a big DRM borrower. You know what I mean? So it's one of those things where you don't think about it. You need someone to point it out. Brian Roman, brilliant. And I say Brian Roman because if I don't, then I'm addressing my first love, Brian, here.
I am also brilliant, though.
On the show. So I'm always going to Brian Roman you. But amazing point. And if I can enhance it at all, it's just that all of us have events, family things, whatever we go to in a bigger city than we live in, unless you live in one of the major metros. But even if you do, go to your local library, and in this case, a big city library, if you can. If you have an hour to spare and you can do that, that'll give you rights to borrow from that library's online selection.
So a huge thank you to Brian for a wonderful suggestion as to how to get more comics.
Brian Roman.
Brian Roman. My apologies.
I didn't do anything to say thank you to.
Well, you brought it up as well that he said this thing. You brought it back to us.
You are welcome for that,
so
by the way.
Thank you, Brian Roman, for being better than other Brian here, for giving us some wonderful suggestions as to how to read comics. And
I just want to make sure, CJ, that I'm not completely mistaken. I don't believe there is a total online linked National Archive yet, right, Brian?
Not that I know of.
Right. So that's the only reason I brought up the while you travel, visit the library in the biggest city you can, because I don't believe there is a linked repository for the entire country.
So there's a way that you can continue to be awesome just like Brian and share your thoughts, ask us questions, the Ask a Nerd section essentially. For that, go to our Facebook page, facebook.com/thatkindofnerd, or email us your question at podcast@thatkindofnerd.com. Before we wrap this episode, I want to do a little bit of follow-up for something. We had started a fantasy movie league between the three of us. We haven't talked about it in a few weeks, again, with all the technical issues. But I want to kind of give you a standing as to where we are right now at the time of this recording, and this is probably going to change by the time it's published. As of June 17th at 11:30 p.m., the Not-So-Fantastic Four box office, that's me, at number one. Then X-Men, and then Josh, for the love of God, please pronounce your Cineplex name.
Polychronopoulos.
Okay, I'm terrible at reading this.
It's like you never heard Adam Sandler.
It's been a long time I don't get the reference, so I'm sorry.
Steve
and then
motherfucking Polychronopoulos.
And then Brian with superior blockbuster knowledge, right now bringing up last place at number 3. He was number 2 until the box office glitch changed the numbers, put Josh back up there. This game is actually really fun, very strategic. I would like to note for the record that Josh said if it has the words fantasy and league in it, that he would destroy us. And I'm just saying.
And I will. This is
still waiting.
This is a marathon, not a sprint, my friend.
Well, you're just $40 million, behind me.
I'm going to make up $40 million this week easy because you didn't go Dory.
You know what? And we'll talk about that next week. The gauntlet was thrown. I'm very intrigued to see what this weekend does for our little game here. I just want to say this is a lot of fun, and I really recommend that you, the listener, try this out, get a little strategy, because at the end of this movie season, we're going to open it up to you, the fans.
We're going to figure out a way to stop this and then do a listener league.
Yeah, so it's going to be great, and I really think that you guys should give some time to it and invest in it, because it's so much fun. Read the rules. If you want some tips as to just getting started in a little bit of learning the game, just direct us, DM us on Twitter, or email us, or go to Facebook, and we'll gladly give you some beginners tips to it, because it's so much fun. So check out Fantasy Movie League to get your own game started. Like I said, we'll open up our own league. So right now, again, just to recap, at the time of this recording, which is going to change by the time that this gets published, Brian at number 3, Josh at number 2, I'm at number 1. Only a couple $1 million really between everybody once this kind of floods out. So this is going to be a tight race. Can't wait to see how it shakes out for next week, and just we can brag about whether or not Josh made a great decision or if something else paid off.
And when it pans out my way, you two, not on the show, but the two of you on this recording before the show will have to listen to me explain how fantasy football ties directly into this.
I can see that. So, guys, this is kind of wrapping up our show for this time. Thank you so much for making us your walk around the neighborhood or your drive to work. I want to remind you, though, a couple ways that you can support the show. So, number 1, on iTunes and on Google Play, give us a review. Give us 5 stars. When you guys rate us and you share us with your friends, that's when we can get more listeners, and that's when we continue to work on this show and make it great. So, please share and rate us on iTunes, Google Play, Music, Stitcher, wherever you found us. Just give us 5 stars. We greatly appreciate it. You can also tweet at us at That Kind of Nerd and find us on Facebook. Just search That Kind of Nerd on Facebook. We'll show up. If you ever have a comment or a question about the podcast, you can always share it at podcast@thatkindofnerd.com. Finally, guys, the coolest thing about our show is that you can be a voice on it. So just call 484-373-4119 and leave your voice on the show so we can share a comment, a suggestion, a theory, whatever you've got with us. So thank you so much for listening to this week. And now hang on, because we're going to go to Westeros for Game of Thrones.
Where's Perry?
Where is Perry? Agent P. That just this that scene where just sorry about that. And then they're yelling. They're so frustrated. Sorry about that.
Well, if you made it past Arya this week, then you have officially hit the Game of Thrones section. We are joined this week by Craig Newcombe, who I owe an apology to, because last week Craig had a lot of great things he wanted to talk about the episode of Game of Thrones, and then, of course, my microphone took a shit, so he couldn't come on. So thank you for joining us again, Craig.
CJ, I think you owe everybody everywhere an apology.
I don't know. Everyone goes lowbrow again, and that was a good episode.
Existing, you should introduce yourself. Hi, my name's CJ. I'm so sorry, and then just walk away.
So we have 2 episodes of Game of Thrones to talk about. So let's just get right on this, because a lot of things went down, a lot of shit happened. So let's start with 2 weeks ago, what was the biggest thing that happened on Game of Thrones? What that was what episode? The Broken Man?
Yes.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, hold on. So Josh, the Broken Man.
I'm actually really happy that Josh is here for this one.
Me too, because he wasn't here.
About the fact that Al Schwerenzer was in that episode.
Ian McShane joined Game of Thrones for approximately 47 minutes, and it was the best of times and the worst of times. It just couldn't. Why couldn't they have kept him on? Why does he have to die? Why does everyone have to die?
I really enjoyed his character, and then I knew it was going to happen.
Well,
when he has that discussion with the Hound about being a good person after
I'm tired of fighting, and
you're tired of fighting after those 3 guys that just came and pretty much threatened them and walked away. I knew he was going to die, and I was like, oh no.
I haven't seen a pacifist get through this show at all, so this was just a bad one.
But I enjoyed that about the episode. The Hound is back, which is extremely exciting.
Hooray. It's very nice to have the Hound back.
Yes. He's going to eat a ton of chicken and kill people, and that's what I want from the Hound.
Don't you have him in the fantasy league?
I'm pretty sure I do. So I'm pretty
sure you do as well.
If I get points for chickens eaten, that would be even better.
Between Brian and I, we've got the Clegane brothers covered. We got them locked down. So I got some status points and some kill points for a Mortal Kombat Sub-Zero style fatality. Not the normal fatality where he freezes you and then punches you, but the ripping of the head off fatality.
Yeah, was that the best death in the show?
That was a solid. I don't know if it was the best death in the show.
I can't think of one better.
Yeah, when he made the Red Viper's eyes pop, when he crushed his skull.
Well, he's got
Yeah.
the 3 best kills then. When he crushed his skull, he
Yeah.
banged that one guy's head
Wow,
against the wall.
that was an
times.
insignificant, just boop. That was, it
Yeah,
was
but
over.
it was still a pretty. I almost said epic.
Don't, because it didn't take a long time.
It wasn't like boop. He wasn't like
It was
touching a
boop. That's
dog's
all he
nose.
did. That's all he did. He walked up to the guy, boop, and the guy's skull exploded against the wall.
So we're getting ahead of ourselves. So let's finish talking about the Hound, because that was a big
of ourselves.
because we need to stay focused.
I've got to have the Hound because I went up a lot of points from last week. Anyway, continue.
So the Hound being back, but being back now with a better purpose. It's not just killing people for money. It's not just killing people for the sake of killing people. He's got a moral purpose to it now. What do you think about that as a character versus what he was before?
I think what happened was he was saved from death, and he starts reflecting on his life, and I think there's a few things that he's thinking about. I think that he was trying to make a difference, doing the right thing, and the whole time feeling like he didn't belong. And I think that the Septon getting hung was pretty much the end of it for him. He was done trying to do good when so many people in the world are just as content doing evil. And I think that it's good for the Hound. I think it's good for the realms of men, because he's a formidable adversary. Like, you don't want him opposite you on the battlefield, regardless of whether you're a walker, a White Walker, or a man.
So what do you think his new not credo, but his new outlook mean for the realm? What does this mean for the rest of the show?
Well,
I don't think the Hound has any impact on the entire realm.
I do.
Oh, absolutely,
I do.
he does.
Yeah, I think that. So it goes back to what we were saying a couple episodes ago, and I think that you've got Arya, who essentially has now redeemed herself and is good with the House of Black and White. Can return.
A girl has a name, and I will eat my words. She finished her training.
She finished her training, right? So
I will eat my words on that.
She's good. She's good. She can return anytime she likes. But I think the key is she's now fit to serve as Kingsguard, and she trusts the Hound. And I think that is got to be a story. I think maybe.
So do you think
They
they
definitely
reunite
meet up.
again? Do you think they get back
Absolutely.
together?
I hope so. Yeah, very much so.
Reunited and it feels so good.
So, Josh, I've had a theory for a little while here. I believe she is leaving the house with Caitlyn's face, and she becomes Lady Stoneheart. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I think I think it's logical. I didn't know that Catelyn Stark ended up in the house of. How did Catelyn Stark end up on Bravo?
We don't know how Ned did, but they showed Ned's face in the house.
Okay, that's very interesting. So in that case, yeah, sure. I'm still pretty deep in thought about this whole waif thing, and I'm not so sure that. I think there's more to that story.
We'll never know, though.
No, you're
agree.
right.
I came around to it. Initially, I was so against it because if it was true, I kind of thought the waif was going to win and we wouldn't know Arya the way we do now. But because Arya came out on top and a girl has a name, I'm okay with the story. I just don't think we'll ever know the answer.
There was another female outstanding character, and it's young Lady Mormont. Holy shit.
Oh,
She
the little
was-
10-year-old Lord
Yeah,
thing.
the 10-year-old
I loved
Lord.
her until she said she had, 67 people?
Who
She
gives
was
a crap? She was
badass.
amazing. Because
was awesome.
John's fumbling around, he can't talk to her the right way.
Here's another
Sansa can't talk.
overblown household that with no real power bestowed upon them after a failed raid by the Iron Islands, and the Starks gave Bear Island to the Mormonts.
Right.
So the more important scene, though, it had nothing to do with her. She was badass. She was awesome. But the real star in all that was Josh, name, help me out.
Sir
here.
Davos Seaworth.
Sir Davos Seaworth. That
onion
was the
thing.
shining star in that scene.
And what I
he-
took away, I'm sorry, Craig. What I took away
Go ahead.
from that scene is, and just that episode in general, because there's a scene with the Lannisters as well, is just how little the names Stark and Lannister mean anymore.
Exactly.
Nobody cares. Everybody's like, Sansa, you're like been married twice. You're not a Stark. Jon Snow's not technically a Stark either. And that's like their first reaction to, hey, the Starks need your help. They're like, what Starks? There are none. It's become so, this house that ruled the entire North is just nothing anymore.
Dead. The house is dead.
Yeah.
The house is,
that's what I took away from that scene. Not just the fact that Davos freaking stepped up and said, listen, we need your help, and there's really no other way around it, and did what he had to do. That was a great scene, but these past 2 episodes are just, these 2 like gargantuan houses are just mean nothing anymore. Lannister doesn't mean anything either. They've been disgraced.
Lannister still means something.
They've been disgraced. They've been killed off.
They still have a giant army.
They do.
Jaime Lannister
they
is
still
They have a
hold
giant army
something.
that they don't even
and
have
Tommen
control
is still
over.
king.
Tommen is a Baratheon. Tommen's a Baratheon.
Yes.
Tommen's a Baratheon.
His mother's
and
Doesn't matter. She's nobody.
he's a puppet of the church. He's not even like the Lannisters don't have crap.
And made super clear by the fact that he outlawed trial by combat.
Yeah,
He outlawed
hold on,
trial by
wait,
combat, and he sent his uncle
You just have to let it go.
away.
With that, he sentenced his mother to death.
Yeah, there's no way Cersei can get out of this. Like,
Here's the other thing
she's
too,
dead.
real quick. What we're doing too, we're also mixing these episodes together. So just we're gonna get over that. Sorry, I know some people are like, that's not Broken Man. Yes, okay, we're talking about these 2 episodes together now. Because I think Broken Man ended with Arya being stabbed, and that we were like, what has happened? What's gonna happen?
Right. That's
There's no way I can talk about one show,
Which
and then
is
go into
fine. I
another.
just want to set because I know someone's yelling at their car. So just we understand. We get it.
You
These 2
don't
things are
know
mixing together.
that. You don't know. No, you
yeah.
don't. You don't know. You just don't.
So let's talk a little bit about since we were talking about the Lannisters not really meaning much. Let's talk about Jaime and Blackfish though, because he rolls up and says, "Hey, like I'm taking this shit over. You guys did what you did stupidly. Let's play our hand. We're gonna kill him. All right, fine, kill him."
What's crazy? The crazier thing in all that story is that the rules of patriarchy won out.
Yeah.
Over sanity. The rules of patriarchy won out. Like, no, he's the lord of the house. You're his uncle. You don't get to make that call. He makes that call. Comes in and he's like, drop your weapons, lower the gates. It's over. And everybody's
Is
like,
the Blackfish dead?
no, the Blackfish isn't dead. He escaped again.
No, I thought they said he died in combat.
They said he died in combat.
Right,
They
he
did.
escaped. You saw him on a boat.
No, he
No,
didn't.
he wasn't
I
on a
didn't see him
boat.
on the boat.
He was on a boat.
Brienne, and what's his face?
Brienne and her
Podwick.
scribe were on a boat.
I thought Blackfish was on a
No,
boat.
Blackfish
It was
said
just the
he
2
was
people.
rusty with sword fighting, ran in, and then they told him he was dead.
Oh, right. Okay, fair enough.
I think he might be on the boat, but we don't know for sure.
No, I don't think he's on the boat.
Why would they not show his death? When does Game of Thrones hold back?
It really doesn't matter. But I mean, the crazy thing is that's the end of House Tully as well. So you've got the House Tully, House Stark, basically gone, done. At the end of either this season or certainly the next, you'll have Jaime Lannister dead, Cersei Lannister dead, and Tyrion being maybe the last Lannister.
I don't think
Then-
Tyrion has much time.
And then how many
I
Starks
don't
are we
think
going to have
so.
left? We're going to have Bran, and that's it?
Bran
doesn't-
isn't technically a Stark anymore. He can't rule.
The three-eyed... right.
Yeah, he can't.
He's
he
a three-eyed
can't-
raven.
He's a
I
three-eyed
mean, we
crow.
don't know what happened with Rickon. I think we're going to see him in the next episode. But if we're guessing who's
We're gonna
dying
see
next-
his head on a
Yeah, I was
stick.
going to say we're going to see him dead.
We're gonna see Ramsay
He died
walking
once.
around parading Rickon's head on a spike. Like Rickon is the thing that sets off the battle. It's got to be right.
Yeah, because John would be really upset about that, and he would
Right.
go like ballistic about. Yeah,
Does
and
John know he's not dead right now? Because
it doesn't matter. They're just going to show his
Yes,
head.
John
Let-
knows.
Let
John
me
knows.
say these two things. I'm not sure. Does John know that Rickon's alive? Doesn't
Yeah,
matter.
he even says when he's
Sansa
trying to
said
recruit
something, too.
people that they have our brother Rickon.
Okay, fair enough.
So-
two things. First, Laura is beside herself, going, "They can't kill John again, right? They can't."
True.
They couldn't possibly kill John again, right? And then the second thing that I have to reveal is this. And this happened maybe last weekend. I don't remember when exactly, but I wake up from a nightmare. Absolute nightmare. I wake up hollering No, 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 no. Shut up, shut up, shut up, shut up, shut up. I wake Laura up and she like spins over, turns over real fast. She goes, What's wrong? What's wrong? And I'm like, he's gonna spoil it. He's gonna tell me what happens in Game of Thrones. He gotta shut up. and then I realized that this was all a horrible nightmare, and I went back to sleep. But
that's like when you watch The Sopranos, that you're not allowed to do that anymore because of your reaction.
I'm not allowed to binge watch Sopranos because, Craig, right. I actually, in my sleep, was pummeling, like violently beating my pillow. Fisticuffs.
I just started Sopranos from season 1 again. So.
It's and look, maybe the most amazing show ever to air in that format. But
The Wire.
I know The Sopranos beats The Wire. I know that
I'm a Wire guy.
As am I. I've watched The Wire 5 times, front to back 5 times. The Sopranos. I get completely insane after binge watching The Sopranos. My sleep is interrupted. I violently accost my pillow. And in Game of Thrones case, my biggest fear apparently is that someone is going to spoil it for me. And I mean, I shut down everything. I don't look at my phone. I don't text. Nothing. When Game of Thrones is on, I'm watching Game of Thrones. It's probably the only time I'm not looking at my phone. When I go to the movies, I make an effort to be on my phone the whole time. But when Game of Thrones is on, I shut it down.
So let's talk about one other part of this. I think that's something really crucial is that when Jaime Lannister says that he's going to throw your baby over a wall.
Jaime said that,
when
did he?
Jaime Lannister says that he's going to throw your baby over a wall.
With a catapult.
Jaime
With a catapult.
Strawberry Lannister. He smells the vine.
What?
Jaime is the character that you think is turning a leaf and you start to like, and then he can be the most violent person in the
but that was what Craig and I talked about this a couple episodes ago in what I'm assuming was something that made it to the podcast, where we both said the only thing he cares about is Cersei. Nothing else. Mm-hmm. Nothing else matters. Mm-hmm. Nothing else whatever. It just he is singularly focused on doing whatever it takes. And I think the parallel I drew was that in the same way that Tywin said whatever he wanted, did whatever he wanted, that's Jaime through and through. But he's going to do it not in service of the family name, but only in service of Cersei.
And he outright said that in the last episode. It was really funny because he had 2 pretty good scenes. He had that one scene with Brienne, which was a pretty solid scene. And it started off like, oh, you know, this guy's not all bad. But like one of the first things he says when Brienne was like, hey, I found Sansa. He's like, my sister wants her dead. And so it always comes back to Cersei for him. And they had a nice little callback when he was convincing, what's his name? Edmure to tell the army to lay down their arms and let them in. He literally says, you know, the things we do for love.
It calls back to who he was originally. It reminds you this. But
he said that in each of the last 2 episodes, if I'm not mistaken, right?
I know he said the last episode. I don't remember the episode before that.
I don't.
No,
he did. He did because we talked about that. That's right. We did. He did.
He says it as frequently as I discuss your cat to male ratio. It's every episode at this point.
So the thing that I really liked with him is that Edmure really kind of made us again.
But before, I did discuss the cat to male ratio just briefly there, but I didn't say how low it was. It's quite low.
Quite low?
Very low.
Safe to come in at any time. And
sorry to interrupt. It's very low. I just wanted to make sure I cleared it up.
I appreciate that. So Edmure really kind of made us, in my opinion, re-examine Jaime again, just like we're doing right now. He says, you know, do you imagine yourself to be a good person? Is that it? After you've massacred my family, you understand that at some level you're an evil man, right? Like,
I don't give a shit.
Crazy.
I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
I don't care.
He's like, how do you live with yourself? And Jaime's just like, what the fuck do you think I'm like? What do you fucking think I do? I go about my life and I do what I need to do for Cersei. And it really does remind us that even though we like Jaime, you shouldn't. You really shouldn't.
We like him right now.
Yeah, you only like him
real soon.
Yeah, you only like him for a little bit of time, but remember, he hasn't really changed who he really is.
I disagree. I disagree with you and really everything you're saying right now. I've liked
Okay, good.
I've
Maybe
liked
I'm
Jamie
wrong.
Lannister. I've liked Jamie Lannister from book one.
When he threw a child out of a window, you liked him?
I
And he
didn't,
screwed his sister?
because it wasn't about it. It was never about him. None of this is ever about him. Right?
It's a little about him.
No, it's not. He only did.
It's about him banging his sister.
No, it's about protecting Cersei's reputation.
Right. That's all he cares about. It has nothing to. None of this is self-serving.
If Cersei was okay with the world knowing that they, knocked boots and had a bunch of babies, Jamie'd be fine with that. He doesn't give a shit. He's the fucking Kingslayer. He doesn't care what people think about him. So I'm sorry, Josh. Go ahead. I'm even changing my own mind. So please go ahead.
No, I just think that if you really examine all of his moves throughout this entire series, really none of it is to get what he wants.
But
other than to make her happy so that she continues to love him. That's all that he cares about.
But does that make him a good person?
Though, he kind of went behind his father to become Kingsguard.
Yeah, well,
he was supposed to be the Casterly Rock. He was supposed to be
It was
king.
the only way he could stay near
Cersei.
It has nothing, none of this has anything to do with, he could be leading the sweet life, rich as hell, at Casterly Rock, away from danger, with two hands, and not have any issues. And still, he refuses to do anything that might disappoint Cersei even a little bit.
But does that make him a good person, though? That's Edmure's question. At the end of the day, is Jamie a good person?
I don't know if he's good or not, but he doesn't need to be good for me to like him. I like him.
Okay, good.
He's,
All right,
he's just,
you know what?
just
I give it
whipped.
to you.
He's whipped.
He's
Just
the only
feel for the guy.
character that I outright despised in the beginning, and I like now.
Right, well, and because I think
let's not glaze over the fact that Brian just said that Jamie Lannister is whipped. That's amazing. No, that's perfect. That's exactly what's going on. I'm sorry. Now we can
he has
continue.
opinions. He has definitely tried to stand up to Cersei, and Cersei has just shut him down.
Great. I love that. You have won the Game of Thrones conversation, Brian.
Woo!
It's yours. You have won the Game of Thrones.
No
Enjoy
Bane
it.
voice required. Yes.
All right. So what was the other? Was there anything else that we really need to go over? Anything that we're really missing from these last two episodes that we need to talk about? Oh, Brienne, where the hell? So what's Brienne's next move? What is her deal
She
going?
goes and she meets up with Sansa and kills Ramses, hopefully.
Okay, so she's just going to come to battle. And do you think now that you had the Wildings fight, is this where Brienne dies, or is this where Cersei
she at
dies?
least hooks up with
Tormund Giantsbane.
They have to hook up in the show,
and they will. I believe
and then they die.
I believe they will
afterward.
No, again,
coitus happens.
I think there will be coitus. I also think that Tormund Giantsbane dies, and I believe that Brienne completely loses her shit. Like I said before, lapse in judgment, going after whoever killed him. Sansa dies. Arya kills Brienne. Lady Stoneheart returns, sort of thing.
Nice.
I'm not. This is all crazy as shit fan theory, and I didn't read that anywhere. This is just the way I think it's going to happen. Craig, you and I talked about that, but there's far too many people that we like right now, and a lot of them need to die.
Someone needs to die.
Someone's got to die.
Well, and so Craig Phillips, he posted in our Game of Thrones chat, this is the climax. It's coming next week, and I wait. No, 2 episodes. He's like, look, every season it's the second to last episode.
Yeah, it's always
episode 9.
Yep.
So, so Craig is, he's absolutely right. I thought what I thought had happened was he had taken an hour of Game of Thrones out of my life, and I got very angry for a moment.
Right.
And I went, no, I get 2 more hours. But it's, so episode 9, this next episode, the Battle of the Bastards, should be ridiculous. And really ridiculous.
Can I put this out there? Because episode 9 is usually one of the longer episodes. Can it be epic?
Yes, it is
It
going
may
to be.
it yes, okay.
They have confirmed that this will be a longer episode. So, and you know what? I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to glaze over this. There are two other things I want to talk about in the episode here, and that is the return of Daenerys to basically go, who messed up? And everyone goes, Tyrion.
Absolutely.
Like-
this might be Tyrion's last episode.
No.
Daenerys
He's
is not
going
gonna-
he's going to be able to talk his way out of it. He's going to be
We'll
able
see.
to convince her that diplomacy was the right call at the time, and then a dragon is going to burn the wise masters and the Yonkai.
The dragons are not going to burn the wise men. It's going to be the people from the Iron Islands coming up behind them.
I don't think so.
Absolutely.
I think the dragon's
Dude,
going to burn
that would
it,
have
and
to
then-
be a hell of a fleet of ships. I mean, because
They're better at sea than the wise men. Plain and simple.
the wise men's.
What I say?
All of the Wisemans. No, I just like to say. Every time I hear Wiseman, I think Wisemans.
So
The drinking
the
game.
Ironborn will absolutely, even with 3 ships, be able to take all them out. I believe that they're Ironborn. They're from the sea. It doesn't matter how many ships they have. The Ironborn.
You saw
take them out.
the Astapor and Yonkai and the Wise Masters or whatever. They have they're lobbing Molotov fucking cocktails though
Yes.
No, they're loving.
that are exploding
Doesn't
the
matter.
pyramid.
The
I think it
Ironborn
kind
are
of
from the
does.
sea, and
The
that's how
Ironborn
you
don't
connect-
have any projectile weapons.
That's how you connect the Ironborn with Daenerys. They come, they take out the ships. Daenerys is thankful to them. That's how you connect this.
I think she quickly sees them as a joke.
I think it's, hey, thanks for the free ships, barbecue.
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks for the free
seriously.
ships. My dragons actually need to eat, and they
Yes.
like salty food. So
Yeah,
you
so it's
guys
just
are
done.
perfect.
So, I think it's this. She's going to come in. Who made this mess? They're all going to look at Tyrion. Tyrion's going to be like, first off, you left. You didn't tell anybody where you're going. You never called. You never wrote. You left me no messages. What the fuck was I supposed to do? So I think he's going to get out of it. But
Of course he's going to get out of it.
Yes, my other question, though, is, so Varys went off on his secret mission. Where is he? I mean, he's a smart
King's
guy.
Landing.
He's going back to King's Landing?
I
To
think-
do what?
I think the first thing he does is cover up any loose ends that may still be existing from whatever shit happened in his childhood
Right, yeah.
that
needs to
frightened
get
that
ships.
frightened the hell out of him. But he's
He
what?
needs to get ships for Daenerys.
I
I'm
don't
pretty
think
sure they even said that.
and that might be the case, but there's no way that's the sole purpose of him. He wouldn't need to leave for that.
He's
He
up
could
to
send for
something.
ships.
There's an important thing that we kind of breezed over. Cersei is talking to her. What's the guy's name that made the
Qyburn.
Yes.
Qyburn?
But hold on. I want to get to the Qyburn conversation, but before we do, I lost my shit. What? So you've got the Hound, and he meets up with the Brotherhood, and he's you really shit at dying. You know that?
Yes. Let's talk about Cersei and
That's an
Qyburn.
important scene.
That is true. What is the secret? What is happening?
All right, I did some research because I could not remember for the life of me what it was talking about. And this is sheer fan theory, but it makes a lot of sense.
Well, what did she say before you get into the theory?
She said, "Is it just rumors or is there anything true to it? What did your little birds find?" And he said, "It's very true." Something along the lines of that. I mean, I can't.
It
quote
basically
correct.
was like, is it as bad as they say? And
It's
he's
about
like,
Daenerys.
It's worse.
I disagree.
I don't think so.
Really? So you think it's
she
about?
is constantly talking about burning down cities.
Yes.
It is about the green fire. I think her
The
plan
Sparrow
is
is holding on to the last remaining batches of green fire
No,
and may look to purify the city.
that's Tyrion used all of the wildfire.
That's what we're
No.
saying. If when you look back, right, when we had that flash with Bran and the Mad King and let him burn, there was a longer cut of the green fire stuff, and it made
Wildfire.
sense. Wildfire. It made sense that it was in the context of the Mad King. However, what we're saying is a lot of that is out of context. Maybe that's what's left over. The Sparrow has that. Yes, we think that that Tyrion used the last of it, but may not. The High
you're
Sparrow may
saying-
have
I
some.
don't think
Craig,
the High
you're
Sparrow's
saying-
going to use it. I think Cersei's going to use it when it goes bad for her. She's taken everybody down. She said, "I will watch this city burn." She has said that before.
Oh, that's interesting. And also,
On more than
really,
one occasion, she has said, "I will burn it to the ground."
let me say this: if that's the case, it completely unseeds King's Landing as the natural host of the king, and the king can be wherever.
Like maybe Winterfell?
Yeah, well, like maybe in the north, right? Riding dragons.
Yep. Now, our apologies if the last episode kind of answered this question, but I think that's a good theory. I think that it's. I mean, she really has. You're right. Talked about burning cities to the ground. This could be it. Who knows? But the question is she going to get out of this alive?
Who knows?
Thanks, Baker.
Really hope so. Hope she dies. Hate her. Just saying.
You're just like, I want Cersei to die. Like,
I wanted Cersei to die since episode 3.
Okay. Well, we shall see.
Not
Who's the other?
3.
Who's the
No,
other
I
one that
feel
he
like-
killed?
What
feel
happened
like-
in episode 3 that you hated
I
her
feel
so
like
much?
you're not really like getting me. Not episode 3 of the season, like episode 3 of the show.
No, I get.
Well,
oh,
no,
I
what
got
happened
you.
in episode 3?
Episode
of the
3
show
was
that
the
you
I
King's
don't
hated?
Road.
remember. She's
Wasn't it
just
the
a-
King's
she's
Road?
just a terrible bitch.
Wasn't episode 3 the King's Road?
Jesus, hold on. Brian's like,
Don't remember.
Heinous
Deadly.
bitch.
If it was the King's Road, that's if the King's Road episode was the one where she basically forced Ned to kill the wolf.
Yeah.
And set really a lot of bad shit in motion, bad blood all over the place.
So when was it? I was talking to something else. What started this whole mess?
oh God, we did talk about this. Hold on, we talked about this before this.
So what started the Game of Thrones?
It was Jon Arryn dying. It was Jon Arryn being poisoned as the hand of the king.
Which was probably done by Cersei.
No, well, we know it was done by the Lannisters. We know it was
Right.
Jaime and Cersei. We know that. The whole reason for Robert Baratheon traveling north with everyone, the whole reason for that was that Jon Arryn died, and he
That's right,
wanted Ned to be the hand
It's
of the
like
king.
the Franz Ferdinand of World Wars. Yeah.
So he travels north, and if it weren't for Jon Arryn dying, then you don't have Cersei and Jaime in the tower and Bran and the whole. That's what set everything off.
Craig, I remember what you and I had talked about when we were doing some tracing was we said that if Ned, oh God, hold on, if Ned didn't get his head chopped off, if Joffrey played along with the pawn, right? Because we said really at the end of the day, Joffrey was just a pawn that started it. However, Ned would have still followed the lineage of the Baratheons, and we still would be.
He would have died either way.
Yeah, we still would have been here. So you're right. It was the fact that he was poisoned, and the hand of the king opened up, and we needed Ned Stark to come there. And we don't know if anything even before that leads into it. But from what we understand,
Jon Arryn died.
Right. Yep.
That's the reason they all went north.
Yep. So
Now, what was the reason for killing him? Obviously,
He
they
found
wanted to
out about
replace him.
the
Did the same
seed
thing.
is strong. The seed is strong. He
Yeah.
found out about Robert's
okay.
bastards and that they all
He was
had
looking for
black
He died
eyes.
for the
That's
same
right.
reason Ned
So
Stark died.
that brings up a good point, though. What happened to the last remaining bastard, the guy that was the
Gendry?
Smith? Yes,
Gendry.
Yes,
I'm
where
not.
is he?
I don't know. I kind of feel like we're never going to see him again. I mean, he probably is spooked as hell after the leeches and the craziness. So I think he's hiding or dead. But it'd be
completely
great if we
uninterested
saw him
in
again.
everything.
You know,
No,
battle
he went off with the same people that what's his face just killed a bunch of.
the Brotherhood.
Yeah, he was with the Brotherhood.
Did he stay with the Brotherhood?
Yes, he was smithing for them. They found out he was a smith,
Oh,
and they
that's
took
right.
him with them.
They did
If
take
that's
him
the
with them.
case, I mean, he's a bastard. Could fit into the Battle of Bastards somehow.
We may see him soon.
thematically.
So we'll have to see. And again, apologies because maybe the last episode just kind of fixed that. So
Stop apologizing.
well, we need to. So again, thank you for joining us for the Game of Thrones conversation. There's obviously so much we're going to have to talk about next week for what you guys just saw as the Battle of the Bastards. So please, share your thoughts after the episode airs. Email us at got@thatkindofnerd.com. You can also get to us at Twitter at thatkindofnerd and on Facebook. The other really cool thing you can do, guys, have your voice on the show. I mean, we brought Craig on here because he expressed some interest via voicemail, so we want to hear more from you guys. Call 484-373-4119. Tell us what you thought about the Battle of the Bastards, because we definitely want some user or fan input for the next episode. So, Craig, thank you, and again, so much for coming. I'm sorry about last week and not being able to share it, but Josh, I'm glad you were here to talk about it with us. That's going to be our Game of Thrones conversation for this week. Join us next week, and we're going to talk some more stuff in Westeros.
Wait, let's go back to the hound for a second. I have a problem that he's only using an axe.
Why?
Yeah, why? That's awesome.
It worked for Abraham Lincoln. Why wouldn't it work for the hound? It worked for Abraham Lincoln. Why wouldn't it work for the hound?
I mean, Honest
We're
Abe
not killing zombies or
Honest Abe
vampires.
killed a
We're
lot
killing-
of vampires
Oh
with
my
that
God.
axe.
He chopped through a whole tree with that
I
axe.
saw
There's-
that. It was crazy.
There's no way that the
he had
hound
the
couldn't-
opportunity to give
with-
up the axe and get a sword, and he continued on with the axe. The axe is this inferior weapon.
If presented with a long sword, an axe, and Mjolnir, the hound would go, I'm strong enough to lift Mjolnir, but I'll take the
Yes,
axe.
very true. Because that's all you need to lift that. It's just the brute
He's
strength.
super strong. You can tell because he was carrying that one giant log. It was
Yes,
like a
that's
whole
right.
tree.
So he can just pick up the hammer, no problem.
He would pick up Mjolnir, but then put it back down and then pick up the axe.